Hi guys, this is Rosa Kelly. Welcome back to part 2 of my little darlings tutorial for country craft creation. So last time we made our binding, and then we also made our basic pages. So I went ahead and covered each single one of these, as you can see. And before I added them to the page, I forgot to mention that I distressed the inks, and I used the Tim Holtz Distress ink. So I went ahead and distressed everything to give it a more vintage look. And then I used the collection, but I also used some of the Bow Bunny dot paper that Tammy sent me as part of my design package. And yeah, so then let me tell you how I cut my pages. So what I did is I grabbed the 12 by 12. Let me just grab one here. So I grabbed the 12 by 12, and first I cut it at 7 inches. I cut it at 7, and then I cut it in half, which is 6, and that was how I made these ones. And then for these ones I did the same thing. I cut it at 7, and then I cut it at 5.5, and that will be your flaps. And for these ones, I basically, you know, everything is 7, so I cut this at 7, and I just pencil mark where I cut those. And these ones at the end here, these would all be 4 by 4s. So I went ahead and I just cut one sheet at 4, and then 4, 4, and that's how I cut these ones, these little ones. So these are all 4 by 4s. And on the inside, I use the Bow Bunny coordinating paper. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add our pages into our binding. So the last time I told you we're not gonna bend this yet, so mine has been drying, and it's pretty stiff and pretty dry. So now what I want to do is I'm going to grab my ruler, and I'm also gonna grab my score, like my bond folder, and I'm just gonna put it on the line where I'm gonna bend, and I'm just gonna mark these again, and I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Now on the back, sometimes the last score line that I show, let me get up close, so if you can see, this is the score line, but the binding score, it's up here. So on the back, I always go back and see where my line is. It's slightly off just a little bit, so you want to go back and do this at the score line before you bend it. So now that I mark those two, I'm just going to grab my ruler and hold that there and push this up, and I'm going to do the same on this side. Okay, so that way you won't get those, you know, wrinkle here your paper, or get some bubbles or anything like that. So now our binding, it's ready. Well, this was already closing, but now it's opening again because I had it open for so long, but it's perfect. See how, I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't open up too much anymore. Okay, so now let's insert our pages. So for that, I'm gonna use my double-sided tape. I'm gonna put this down here so you can see. And I'm just going to add some, I'm using the 1/4 inch, but if you have to have an inch, it's actually better. And you want to put it closer to the outside edge, right there, not closer to your binding. Okay, so I'm gonna add the tape to both sides. You're gonna bend it and do it again here. Okay, and you do the same for the other two. So I have my score tape on each one, and so then all I do is, remember to keep your pages in the order that we said. After you cover the paper, you don't see the numbers anymore, so I always keep my pages on a pile. But I guess the order, it doesn't really matter. I matters to me, but it's the same, right? So you're gonna peel the tape a little bit to the side, and you're gonna open the inside of your basic page here. Okay, you're gonna find your center, and then you're gonna start on the bottom and into the top, and then you're gonna center up and down, and once you like where you are, you press on that sticky part, and then you just take this out. Okay, and then we're gonna turn it around, and you're just gonna peel off the tape on the other side. Okay, oops, I can't find it. Here it is. Okay, that took me a minute, but there you go. So you find it, and then you just take it out. Okay, so then we're gonna do the same on the second page. So I find my center, okay, and then you send it up and down, you press on that, and you peel your tape, and then you peel your tape on the other side as well. Okay, and then we do this one more time. So to the side, you put it in center, and then you press and you take that out, and the same on the other side. All right, so here we go. It's coming together. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the designs for the front and back covers. So for the front cover, I'm gonna use the scraps that we were using. So I still have 3 left, and these measure 8.5, and I'm just gonna measure this here by 4 3/4. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this one on this side at 7 3/4. Okay, and I'm going to score this 1/2 inch on the top. So let me move that and put this here. So I'm going to score 1/2 inch on one of the short sides. Okay, and I'm gonna place this page up here like that. So I'm gonna use my tape. Okay. So I'm gonna add my tape up in here, and that is going to be on the top. Okay, make sure you center it, and there you go. And then I'm gonna grab another one, and I'm going to trim this one at 6 3/4. Okay, and then I'm also going to score that piece. Actually, that might be a little too long. Let's just cut it at 6 1/2 instead. Okay, and then I'm going to score 1/2 inch again. And I'm gonna bend this and add some tape. And I'm going to place this one on this side, like this. Okay, so let me just peel off my tape. Oops, this is not coming. Okay. And so I'm going to place it right on top here. trying to center again. Okay, so here we go. So on this side I'm gonna have an opening this way and an opening up that way, but I also want to add a small pocket here, so I'm gonna cut that. At 6 3/4 by 4. Okay, 6 3/4 by 4, and I'm going to score on 3 sides like we do for our pockets. So I'm going to just put this right there. So half an inch, and half an inch here, and then I'm going to trim the corners, and then you're just gonna bend your flaps, and then you can add some tape or some glue and just place that right there. So I'm gonna use my glue in here. 1. And the good thing about the glue also is that you can adjust your, once you put it down, it's not set, so you have a little time to move it around and adjust it. So here we go. So I have my little pocket, and then so these will close up like that and close up like that. So of course I'm going to add a magnet to keep that closed. So some double-sided tape, and I'm going to place it actually on this side. And then some sticky tape facing up, and there you go. So that's this is my front page, and then we're gonna cover that with paper, and then let's move on to the back side. So I'm going to cut a piece of 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. And I'm going to use the heavyweight cardstock again. 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. And I'm going to score half an inch on one side. I have too many things on my desk. Okay, so half an inch here. And then we're going to fold that, and this is going to be added on this side like that. Okay, so you almost get a full page, so a whole full page there. And let me just add my tape. And let me place this down. So I'm gonna peel a little bit of the tape and make sure it's center up and down. Okay, and there you go. So now we have this opening page here. So on this side, I'm going to start with this because I want to do a waterfall, and I want to do that before we cover the actual page. So I'm going to cut a piece here. So I'm just going to pencil mark. So you know this measures 7 on the top. So I'm going to cut this by 7 here. Well, I'm just going to mark it and cut down at this. So let's do that really quick. So first you cut it at 7. And then I'm going to cut it where I put that pencil mark. So that will be your piece here. So I'm going to ink that. A little more on the side. And my idea is to do a pull down waterfall. So I'm gonna grab a piece of my scraps again, and I'm just going to kinda, this probably measures 1 inch, and I'm just going to mark, and I'll tell you what that measures here, but let me see here. So my pencil mark is 5 1/4. So you're going to cut that at 5 1/4, and let me make sure this is 1 inch. Oh, it's actually a little bit over 1 inch. It's 1 1/4. And it's not quite straight, so okay. So you have a piece of 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And this little piece, I'm going to add some glue just to the sides. So a little bit on here and a little bit on that side. Okay, so on both sides, and I'm gonna place it on top of my design paper. Okay, and then I'm gonna come with my punch here, and I'm gonna use the small, what is this? The small, I don't know, it has 2 sides, so I'm using the little one. Oh, it's right here. 1/8. Okay, so then I'm just gonna punch a hole right in the middle. You know, I don't like to measure too much, so I'm just eyeballing it, but if you want to make a super center, then you can measure it. So I'm gonna cover this piece. So this little piece measures 5 by 1, and then I'm gonna turn this around, and I'm also going to make holes. So I'm gonna try to make the holes the same location here. Okay. And then I'm going to use some brads. So I have these cute little clips, baby clips. Let me see. So yeah, so these are cute. I also have these just more plain ones, and I think these are cute too. So let me see which one. Okay, I think I'm going for the little one. Okay, so okay, so you're gonna add your brads, and once you're done with that, then you can go ahead and glue your page. Okay, so we have our little brads. So we're ready to go. So now we can add the page here, and then I'm gonna be right back, and we're gonna finish our waterfall. So for my waterfall, I'm going to cut another piece of heavyweight cardstock into 4 by 4. So I'm going to trim this at 4 and 4. So I'm going to need 4 pieces. And I'm also going to need another piece of 4 inches. And this is going to be a long piece for now, and we'll trim it in a minute. Okay, so the long piece, I'm going to score 1/2 inch. So score at half, and you score at 1, 1.5, and 2. Okay, so half, 1, 1.5, and 2. You have 4 score lines. Sorry about my camera being fuzzy. So, and then you're just gonna bend along your score lines. Okay, and then we're gonna just glue our 4x4 pieces, and I want to start on the bottom line. So you add a little glue and put your first piece, and then you do the second, and you add your piece, and make sure it's even to the first one, and so on. You do the same with the other two. So you have a piece like that, and then you're going to trim this last one. You're gonna trim 1/2 inch away from your bottom piece here. So I'm just going to place it like this and trim this so it looks like that. Okay, and then before we add these to our binding here, so this is going to be opened up like so, and it's going to be added like that. And before you add it, you want to cover the papers. So let me do that. So I'm done covering my papers. So the outside here, it's going to measure, this paper is going to measure 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And the insides here are 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. And yes, and this tall one, 5 1/2. So this one is going to be 5 3/4. So 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. But you know, you can always pencil mark it if you don't want to measure. Okay, so now I'm going to make a hole here on the center. I'm going to add a brad. So I have some, not a brad, sorry, an eyelet, I think you call this. So I'm gonna put one right there. Okay, make sure it's pressed. And then I'm just gonna add some seam binding. And I love the colors that Tammy sent me on the seam binding because they match the collection so perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna cut a piece here. And I'm just going to place it, let's see, through my hole. Oh, I can do this. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so I'm just going to put it down, make a knot. I might have cut it too small, but let's see. Okay, it's coming along. And okay, so then you just pull tight. Yeah, okay, so you have this little pulled little thing here, and I'm just gonna trim that. And now we are ready to add our waterfall into our album. So let me put that away. Put this down here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add some tape. If I can find it in my mess. Okay. So you're gonna add some double-sided tape, on top right here. I can never cut this. Okay, so one, and I'm gonna use two because I have the small tape. So then you're gonna take this out. Okay, and then you're gonna open this up and just slide it in, and make sure you know where you want it to land. You send this center up and down, and then you go ahead and you close it. Okay, just like that. And then you have this awesome pull down waterfall. So how cute is that? So then I'm gonna finish covering these pages up and the ones in the front, and I'll be right back. So now we're gonna continue and add some fun elements to your album. So I'm gonna grab a regular weight cardstock and I'm gonna trim this at 5.5. So now I have 2 pieces, and I'm gonna do that with 2 sheets. So I already went ahead and cut the other one. So you're gonna have 4. And I'm just gonna bend these 2 on half. You can score down the middle, but I'm just going to fold them right along half. And these are going to be photo mats. So I have 2. 3 and 4. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab another one. So I have 4 of that, and then I'm going to grab one more cardstock. So I'm also going to trim this at 5.5, and I'm going to trim this at 1 inch. And you're gonna need 3 of that. So 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. And I'm gonna score these ones down the middle. So all 3 of these. See, 1, 2 and 3. And then I'm just gonna fold them, and these are going to be my connection pieces, and I'm gonna put those together and create a little booklet. So I'm gonna add some glue to this side. Okay, I fixed it. So I'm gonna add some glue here, and I'm gonna, this is my opening, so I'm gonna put it on the back here. So I'm gonna do 1, make sure it's straight and even, and then you're gonna do the same with the other one. So add some glue, and then you're gonna place the next one. And I want all the openings on the same side, so I'm gonna just place them one on top of each other. Okay, so then you're gonna do the same again with your next connection piece. Just add it right along the edge. Okay, and then add the glue on this one. And again, so you just adding them on top of each other here. Make sure they're even as best you can. And then we have one more. So this way you have you're adding lots and lots of room to add lots and lots of pictures. So now this little booklet, you can either attach it to your album, or you can just put it on one of the pockets and have it as a little brag book to, you know, take in and out and things like that. So see how we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 room for pictures here. So I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna grab another piece of my scraps, and I'm gonna create a closure for these. And on my closure, I want to use this beautiful chipboard piece from the collection. So I'm gonna make sure this is going to fit, and I'm going to kind of eyeball and pencil mark right there. Okay, so that's gonna go like that. And then also, let me see how wide I want this to be. So kind of like around here, I'm going to add a score line. So around 3 3/4, I'm going to add a score line. So this actually measures 4 by 3 3/4. You know what? I'm going to just score at 4. So I'm going to make this piece 4 by 4. Score line at 4. And then I'm also going to add a score line at 4 1/4. Okay, so your opening will measure 4 by 4. You're adding 1/4 for your score line, and then the left, let me see what I have here. I have about another inch left, and this inch that you have left, you're going to attach to the back of your album, of your mini booklet here. So I'm gonna put some glue here on the inside, the part that's gonna go facing up here, and just try to center it. Don't put it so close to it, give it a little room. Oh, why is this so yellow? Let's see if I can fix the color. Now it's kind of yellow, but you will put it like this, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and add some magnets to here. So I'm going to add one. One right there and one right here. And then you are going to cover this with paper. I'm not going to show that step, but actually I'm just going to cover the front page, and I'm going to cover this page with paper, and then I'm going to add that in there. So I think that's going to be cute. Okay, so I add the paper here, here, and here. And if you notice, I have a white space here because I'm just using my scraps. And then I have this super pretty trim that Tammy sent me, and I'm just going to add this here on the top. So let me cut. And I'm gonna use some fabric tack for my, it's gonna falling, kind of running out. Oh, so sticky. Okay, so I'm gonna use that. Okay, here we go. Alright, and then I'm gonna add my beautiful chipboard piece. And this actually comes, you can take it apart, so I'm gonna add glue to the inside as well. But you could also take this apart and use this as a frame, so that would be really cute as well. So I'm just gonna use both here. I'm just gonna press card and let that dry. And this piece I'm going to add in my mini album. So I'm going to put it on this side right here. Okay, so I'm gonna glue this whole piece and place it right over here. It's kind of sad to cover this pretty page, but there we go. So just like that. So then when you open it, you have room for all these pictures in there. So that's kind of fun. So now I'm going to continue, and I'm going to grab a heavyweight piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut this at 6 1/4, like that. And then I'm going to save this piece, and I'm gonna bend this right on half. So this will create a little card that will hold 4 by 6 pictures. So I'm gonna do one, and I'm gonna put this one right over here. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do that is I'm just gonna glue along this edge. Okay, and right about half, that's what I'm going to stop. And I'm just going to place it right over here. I'm kind of centering it. Okay, and then you're just going to cut a piece of 4 by 6, and you will have room for 2 pictures. Now I like to add magnets to keep this closed, to keep this card closed, and then you will have extra room for pictures in here. So let me just put my magnets, and then of course I'm gonna cover this. I'm gonna cover this too, because I want to cover my magnets. But you don't have to actually cover it. You can just keep it with the magnets, and then when you add your pictures, you won't see the magnets. Okay, so then that way this page has this fun element here for extra pictures, and then it would also open up and down just like that. And for this other side, I'm going to grab one of my scrap pieces, and this one is going to measure, this one measures 4 1/2 by 11. So I'm going to score at 3 1/2, and I'm also going to score at 7. Okay, and then at 10 1/2, you're just going to trim this piece off. So I'm gonna trim it right at 10 1/2 here. I'm just taking this little piece off, and this is gonna be a little accordion fold like that. Okay, and before I add my accordion, I'm going to add some seam binding on the back. Now I'm going to put it like this because I want my accordion to open this way, like so. So I'm going to use some of this super cute seam binding here. So let me cut, let's see, yeah, a piece like this should be fine. So I'm going to make sure I put this on the side that I want to go on the back. Okay, let me make sure it's center, and then I'm going to reinforce it with some double-sided tape. So 1 and 2. Oh, I can never. Okay, and then I'm just going to peel off my tape. Here too. Oops. Did not come out. Okay, here we go. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more glue. And I will put this right on the center here. Just like that. And then I'm gonna cover this with paper as well, but this will open up like that and like so. And then you will tie it. And then you have another fun element in your album. So I'm gonna cover this outside of camera, and let's move on to another page. So I'm going to use some of my scrap pieces here, and this is the heavyweight cardstock, and I'm just going to make some tags. So this piece measures 3.5 by 5.25. So I'm just simply going to bend it in, not quite bend it, I'm just gently bending it on half and just cutting the corners there, making like a tag. And I'm going to do the same with this other one. So I'm actually just going to put them together and do the same here. And this is just an easy way to make tags. You can of course use your dies and different things like that. And then I'm just going to punch some holes right at the top. Okay, so I'm just going to do that, and then I'm gonna add some eyelids. So I'm gonna put some of these eyelids here. So I'm gonna do the same, and then I'm gonna put some seam binding. I'm gonna pass some seam binding through here. Oops, let me make this super tight. Okay, but I'm also going to be using some of my scraps here. I have lots of scraps already, so you know, just little things like this, or maybe something like that. I love these butterflies. Just make sure you're using every little bit of the paper, right? You don't want to waste it. It's so pretty. So I'm just gonna use this little piece here, for example, and I'm going to use my Martha Stewart punch and give it a pretty edge. Maybe something like this, and then I'm just going to put this right there. How cute is that? So I'm going to distress. Just like so. And then I will just add, let me see here. So I'm gonna actually add some glue right there. And I'm gonna just trim the excess here. Oh, I don't think this is even. Hold on one second. Okay. So then you just take this off, just like that, and then I'm gonna ink this again. Just super easy. And then of course I'm going to add some seam binding. I'm gonna use the blue one. This is pretty color. So just a little bit here to, okay, I think this one I'm actually gonna just do one and So I'm gonna create 2 of the same, maybe 3, and these are very cute to put. You can even put a picture here if you don't wanna glue it. You can just put a picture there, or you can simply use this for journaling and maybe put a picture on the back. So I'm gonna make a couple for my pockets in my album. So okay, so I'll be right back. So I am done with my 2 little tags, and what I did also is I added a sticker from the sticker sheet, and these tags are going to go in my pockets here for journaling. And I will put another one, just goes like that. Let me see, I know I have a pocket somewhere. Oh, here. I forget. Okay, and then I'm also gonna make a couple photo mats. So basically I'm gonna make the same thing that I made here, like a card, and just use those for photo places. And yeah, so now let's add some embellishments. So I cover my papers. Let me show you here what I did. And this one I only covered the front, I didn't cover the inside. And then I have this little image from one of the papers, and this is the sheet that has, let me show you the other one. So this is the sheet that has all the stamps and the images, so I cut that one out. And I'm just gonna back this on some cardstock. Let's see, I like to see that the white little trim around, or no, white cream, right? But you know what I mean, like when you can see the little edge, I think it gives it a clean look. So I'm just gonna trim around my image, just like that, and this side as well. Sorry, I'm totally off camera right now, but I'm just trimming this paper. And I'm gonna place this cute image right here, but instead of gluing the whole thing down, I'm going to just glue the sides and kind of make it like a little space to put a little tag for journal or something like that. So I'm gonna place that right here. And then I'm going to make a little tag, or also the sticker sheets comes with all these fun tags, like this one, for example, it says Rockabye Baby, Little Darlings. So I think I'm just going to use this cute little one. And I'm also going to back, because it's a sticker, so I'm going to back it on my cardstock paper. And just trim around it again. So I trimmed it, and then I'm just gonna cut the sides just like that, and I'm gonna make a little hole and put some seam binder here as well. Put this back, and this little tag is gonna go right there. So I have my seam binding, and I also added a little eyelet, and I'm just gonna use some of this pretty pearl trim and just glue it along the bottom. So I'm just adding some glue, and I'm gonna just add this little trim right here. I love how this looks. Okay. So now I'm going to move to my first page here, and I'm also going to add my pretty trim. So I want to add it along the whole page. And then I'm also going to add some on this other side. to kind of match. Let's see here. So cut it right here. And I'm going to continue with my page inserts. So my page inserts are going to be 7 by 6 1/4. And let me show you how they are going to fit. So I'm using heavyweight cardstock, but if you want to do a border punch, I will use the normal weights. So this is going to stick out a little bit for you to do a border punch or something like that. So these are 7 by 6 1/4. Now for my first page insert, I'm actually going to cut it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to cut it at 6 1/2 by 7. And the reason why I want my first one to be bigger, it's because, let me show you. When I close my album, I want to show my little trim, and I'm going to use this trim that I have on my stash. So I want to be able to glue it here completely and that it will show. So let me just cut this right here. And let me take this piece out. And I'm gonna glue my lace around the side. So I'm adding some glue. Okay. And then I'm gonna put it really, really close to the edge. Just like that. And because this one is wide, I'm making this wider. But if you're using like a ruffle trim that you only have to glue on the edge, then you don't need to make this first page bigger. So see how I want that to stick out when I close my book. That's why I made this first cover a little bit smaller than the back cover. So I'm going to continue embellishing the inside of my album, and I'm just going to record. I'm not gonna be talking much. I'm just gonna let you watch that. But then I'm going to come back and we're gonna work together on our cover.